What is up, guys? This is Chris Miner. Today we are in Fallout 276. It has been at least a month, March 7th I believe, since we have been in this world. And I just want to thank you guys for 101 subscribers and over 15,000 views, which is insane. All because one video I made on Modern Warfare blew up randomly and has 15,000 views about. It's at 14,000, but no doubt that it might reach 15,000 and 101 subscribers. In 2 weeks, that is 40 subscribers, and I'm about to pass Black Kraken on subs, even though he hit 100 before me, which is also insane. The neighborhood has not changed much at all, but we do have some feral ghouls wandering the neighborhood, terrorizing anyone, as well as this hangman, which we have added back. I think he was here in episode 1. It's just a guy who, well, you see, he's hanging. Struggles in the wasteland. Here is Black Kraken's camp. It's a 1-to-1 recreation from his camp in the game Fallout 76. And if we haven't shown this before, which I believe we have, he was last upstairs. And since then, he has moved here. He is in his power armor, armed and ready, because his neighbor across the water is being attacked. His neighbor across the water is, of course, Martin, the original survivor who lived in front of Corvega before it was nuked, and he's having some raider trouble. Black Kraken is coming over to help him. They have sifted through the rubble of the T-51 power armor as well as the vertibird crash, and they have reinforced their base with some scrap metal, as they are the weakest of the raider factions in this, but with the help of power armor and their growing supply. Big updates at Nuke World. First off, by Nuke World, we have an Enclave patrol here. Coming from the Enclave base, they're searching for the Brotherhood of Steel's main base, because after Corvega, they know the Brotherhood is still active, and that was not their main base, so they're looking for it, patrolling down the roads. And since then, the Yellow Raiders, which have grown exponentially and currently are the strongest raider faction in terms of equipment and territory, they have taken Nuke World. You've got the Yellow Raiders running around. You've got snipers trained on the position, everything. You have the Yellow Raider leader, Ripper, who's in some raider power armor. Yet they still have not been able to take out the Quantum XO1 power armor from its display case. Here at Navarro, the Fallout 2 military base, the Brotherhood, the main Brotherhood of Steel, not the Outcast, has discovered it. And they are currently looking for another side base, and they found the Navarro vertibird facility to be a viable option. They're here on a patrol, 2 Brotherhood soldiers. Navarro, they ask. There's a Navarro sign, and they're questioning what this place is, but they do see it as good use in the future. Here at the hospital, the Brotherhood Outcast, with their new banners mimicking the Brotherhood banner, of course have taken it over. They're guarding the entrance. They have their own operation here, as well as a beryllium agitator fully charged of their own within this chest here. They're amassing their own technology. As you know, the East Coast Brotherhood, canonically in real Fallout, decided to not only look for technology, but to start recruiting the people and doing more things for the people of the wasteland. There is an observatory here at the top of the hill. The upstairs is just computer terminals. Downstairs, down the broken ladder, we have an entire map of the world. Here at Corvega Assembly Plant, it's only fallen more into where the E has fallen down of the once big base of the Brotherhood of Steel. Here we have some Brotherhood outcasts who have been exploring and have seen this Enclave banner, and they hate the Enclave just as much as any other person in the wasteland, even though the Enclave are the closest thing to democracy. And they have decided to remove the Enclave banner and put up an Outcast banner to spite the Enclave. We have some new things in the town. First off, the Yellow Raiders are the leading faction in the town. We have a sniper here, trained on the roof, patrolling. The Museum of Freedom, recreated from Fallout 4, is also taken over by the Yellow Raiders. The museum itself has new things. We've got the Colonial War section of the museum. George Washington, Liberty or Death. things. We have a red, white, and blue window. Through this room, we have a Civil War section of the base, or of the Raiders' base, of the museum, as well as a strange poem in this chest, which you guys can read if you pause the video. The book is actually about Abraham Lincoln. Of course, Black Kraken wrote this poem, but it's about Abraham Lincoln and how he was killed at the end of the Civil War. Here we have the World War II section, the Germans and the Americans, as well as a U.S. Army banner, which we've designed for the world. That's all for the Museum of Freedom. The Raiders are now in full control. Now, coming out back to this cafe, the first building in the town, other than Red Rocket, the Raiders are also stationed here, training on a position to kill anyone who enters the town that shouldn't be there. Right here, we have way more militarization that I've added in. There's another tank here, patrolling for any Chinese spies or anarchy in the city, in the town, any rioters. We have a police station outside the city limits with a crumpled roof. Here it is, police station for this town. In here we have the jail cell for temporary inmate holding. Upstairs we have offices as well as the police chief's office, in which he saw and heard the explosion go off. We have nuclear missile here ready to fire on China. Of course it never did. As well as the staging area for a coastal attack, getting ready to be loaded into the military boats and the planes to be flown off to mainland China. Super mutant base, we have some nice super mutant banners. The super mutant leader Victor, who was the first super mutant in the world, of course, who was from Vault 457, is no longer there. He made a short walk to the wasteland at this other super mutant outpost, which used to be the water tower. We've got hanging cages, human heads, blood, super mutant base. And here's Victor. He's going over to these super mutants to ask them to come to this base here so they can take on the Raiders for domination of the town. Because that's the super mutants' main goal: dominate and kill the humans. Here at the government property, now Brotherhood owned, FDR Nuclear Silo, we have a Brotherhood soldier telling us to go away, but we could of course go through. We have a U.S. Army supply truck as well as a newly built U.S. Army tanker truck from pre-war. Here we have some big updates to the silo, important ones. Right here, another Brotherhood soldier. She tells us to go away, you shouldn't be here. First big update, other than, you know, some trucks for more added detail, the elevator for the silo has been increased in size to be a good size elevator, and the entire silo has been renovated. It is now more detailed, built bigger. Here we have the silo log, which if we read it, is kind of a terminal, computer terminal, showing when the bombs dropped and when the silo was used. Twice, 8 ICBMs were shot from 8:34 p.m. on April 10th to China, and a Fat Man bomb, one of them, was shot to Corvega on July 22nd, 2040. And the current date says April 10th because 8:46, which was when the Chinese bombs hit here, and the EMP shut down the silo's clock and compass system, so the clock is no longer updated and it is frozen on the time the bombs hit. We have another stationary bomb inside, ready to be shot whenever it is needed. Enter the launch code. We have a full round area here, which is much better designed for the silo. It feels like a real government facility, as well as a power armor here. And it just goes all the way around the bomb. Maybe like 280 degrees all around. It feels like a real control station. As well as in here we have a storage room, which used to be the Hellfire room before it was brought over. Inside here we have a pulse charge for the pre-war, the only one in the state very important, very scarce items, as well as a speech from the president that he gave one day before the bombs dropped in that little computer room. You may ask, what's in this few doors here? Oh, by the way, the pulse charge is locked here because it can be used to create nuclear weapons, so it is locked up and secured here. But inside this room, we have the gold storage, at least for the lower southern part of Maryland, which this takes place in. Gold storage. Gold is always going to be an important currency, and unlike the US dollar, it won't be irrelevant or overinflated, underinflated. It will always remain its value. So we have physical gold, kind of a mini storage closet for important currency. Powerline Head, the rival to Siren Head, has attacked the Brotherhood main base, and the Brotherhood are firing upon it, but they will not be able to take down this beast, this abomination of radiation and metal. It will eventually take down the Brotherhood, and they will have to relocate. So it may have been helpful that their scouts have found Navarro, although if the Enclave find Navarro, and if this base, there will be fights over who gets to keep the installations. We have big changes. The Enclave has discovered West Tech, and have taken it as their own territory, and they've powered back up the power plant with some of the few, luckily, the few beryllium agitator nuclear power sources they have, which are much stronger than fusion core generators. They can power things for a very long time. And the generator is back online, as you can see. Power level 52%, and the production of the factory is back online. So in the factory, they haven't produced any new bombs. They don't have enough material and plutonium reserves to make any new bombs. But they have since been producing mass production XO3 Hellfire power armor, the strongest power armor ever made. They're not going to make more than this batch though, because it is resource intensive for the special coatings and materials used, but they will use it to supply many of their stronger soldiers. They still of course have many XO1s, and this dialogue says the units are coming along nicely. This soldier is talking to the Enclave general. At this Chinese invasion plane that has crashed, we do have an update. Inside we have a chest with a suit of Chinese stealth armor, of course turning the wearer virtually, visually, completely invisible. Physically they're still there. One suit of Chinese stealth armor, as well as potions of invisibility to go along with it, to trigger the invisibility, cloaking of the Chinese's thing. Here at the old farmer's farm, there's a scarecrow now. Not only that, the animals have been slaughtered, and some raider groups of the Red Raiders who have traveled farther north have investigated this farm to look for any valuables. They're just looking around the place, as well as here where they find a few shoddy, low-tier power armor, but they're going to take it nevertheless to add to their ranks. They have escaped Siren Head's onslaught, and the main Raider Shredder, the general of this entire Red Raider group, has rallied up his men who have pieced together the weak armor that they have still left, and he is giving them a morale boost to rebuild this base and to fight back against Siren Head and to become a great Raider nation that it once was. Here at the Nuke, we do have some big updates. The Nuke has an interior. This is where the Red Chinese would enter. Throughout all this wiring and piping and tubing and pounds of TNT, they would open up this back hatch, send in their top-tier technicians in Beijing, and work on the bomb. Each one of these 6 cores contains a burnt-out plutonium core. These plutonium cores are full of TNT and radioactive material, and they're still radioactive, but they can't be exploded anymore. And these being burnt out when it was launched, not being checked properly in the hastiness of the war, they had to get the bomb out quickly overseas. They did not check it for major flaws, and since then this bomb has not been functional. It has not gone off. Now, of course, if you find somehow very rare, still functioning plutonium fission cores, you replace these, you will be able to remote detonate this bomb. But not only do you need the plutonium fission cores to be fully replaced since these are burnt out, you need a brand new pulse charge, and the only one of those is at the government silo facility. So if you have a burnt out pulse charge, here's the detonation chamber that blows up all of these nuclei, as well as the plutonium cores, causing radiation explosion, atom bomb explosion. Then you'll be able to detonate 150 megatons of TNT, effectively disabling and destroying this entire area. Of course, it has since been degraded over time, and if you replace the materials you replace it with are still going to be degraded, so you will not get a 150 megaton explosion, but you will get a big enough explosion to do some damage still. Of course, this bomb cannot go airborne. That's way beyond possible, so you have to ground detonate it. But of course, going down. First off, in the Enclave General's living quarters, we have some oven space, a copy of the speech, as well as a bathroom for him, personal bathroom. We even have the presidential office. Since the original president, Dick Richardson, from the pre-war position he served as president, has been replaced in 2027. It is 2040, so it's been 13 years. We just recently added it. President George Allen is the new president of the United States and the Enclave, and is the highest command in the post-war. Here he is, President George Allen, in a black suit, in his presidential office, here in the 351 bunker, and below here is his own personal living quarters with a television, music player, kitchen, full bathroom, full table area, a aquarium lounge, as well as his own bedroom. And the first lady is in this vault, his wife. He was elected president after he was the former Enclave General when the original president died, because when the president dies in the Enclave, the general becomes the new president, and you appoint a new general. We have some big Enclave banners now in here. I don't like why these NPCs are named this way, but we have Enclave members in the med bay, as well as Enclave members eating. There's a new room here. It is a bathroom for the general Enclave members. We have sink, bathroom, and a group's shower for the soldiers. The higher-ups still have to use that, unless they are at general and president level, in which you get your own private bathroom and shower. Here we have Enclave soldiers in their living quarters, as well as some down in the lower decks. Here, Enclave are just doing their normal things. In here, not many changes. We have Frank Corrigan from Fallout 2. As well as a reworked, rebuilt, very nice, way better war room for war preparations when they are needed. Through this little tunnel here, tunnel leading to where? Well, you'll see in a second. We have a little room inside of this road tunnel for maintenance, as well as a book called Warning. Do not enter Finley, overrun by ferals, chem leak from Magma Tech. That is, of course, referring to Finley, which is this new town that I have built, Finley, Maryland. It's overrun by feral ghouls, glowing ghouls, all because of a chemical leak of a certain strain of virus, very famous virus, inside the Magma Tech, Magma Labs building. Daring to enter the town, we come into Finley, a destroyed, burnt, exploded town, an echo of its former self. Used to be a nice fishing small port town, now it's hell. There used to be settlers here living after the bombs throughout 2027, maybe early 2040 even, until the chemical leak spewed out of the damaged Magma Labs, and irradiated the water, turning some of these settlers into feral ghouls. The settlers had to either hold out and try and kill the ghouls, but they got overrun, or escape the town downright, which is what they did. They boarded off the exit so the ghouls couldn't escape. They closed the metal gates at the tunnel and wrote a warning for anyone coming through. These buildings are missing roofs. We have an office building, a military checkpoint, with a messed up power armor and a fully charged fusion core. Military checkpoint blocking off the road. We have a jukebox diner, as well as another office building here, completely missing anything. Here's the town's bank, and this was here pre-war, right before the nukes dropped, when everyone was aware that the vaults were closing tonight. Before they went into Vault 351, most people who lived at this town ended up becoming residents of 351 before they were killed because the Enclave taking over. They stormed the bank and took all the money out of their drawers, fearing that the bank system would be shut down. They grabbed all their life savings physically and put them in their pockets. Here we have a mini Red Rocket gas station, as well as some caps, some pre-war money, and a Nuka-Cola Victory inside. Right here we have a tax firm within the town serving taxes and all that for other things. Fraudulent payments book and a tax collateral. We have destroyed roads, an SOS sign painted here. Here we have a car being worked on at the Red Rocket. Here is one of the settlement places of the town after the nukes dropped, before the ghouls came, of course, the ferals. We have beds. People were sleeping here, staying out. We have a 50 caliber sniper, 50 BMG, the gun used to defend the town before the person using it was overrun and killed by the ghouls. Right here we have a diner, 2 stories, with the cap stash, as well as another building here with a Life is a Race win banner. Here, another building with a glowing feral ghoul right here, which is actually the original that escaped Magma Tech and also helped infect the people here into mindless FEV infected zombies. The failed experiment 001, the glowing one, radiated beyond belief. Here we have an apartment. Here is the gun store, which post-war was not that damaged. It still was good shape, and the settlers here that made their final stand before being overrun by the ghouls and having to escape or surrender or die. They boarded up the place and they camped out on the roof before surrendering the town to the ghouls. They tried holding off, trying to save their settlement from the ghouls with a machine gun, automatic machine gun, started firing on the ghouls, but in the end there was too many and they got overrun at the gun store, which was their final fort. It's a bait and tackle store. You got fishing as well as armor, a US Army banner showing the owner, who used to work here post pre-war, was part of the US Army. We have the port here where shipments were brought in from Virginia, as this is the Potomac River on this side. Virginia, they'd bring things over. And it's also a nice place to go fishing or boating or whatever. Right here we have a World War II memorial, and underneath the memorial there is a secretly made sewer bunker where there's a radio. People would try to talk to anyone still left. They have food as well as an M4 rifle down in this mini bunker beneath a sewage tunnel beneath this World War II memorial. Now, for this town that we actually came to, Magma Labs. Magma Labs was a military-funded, just like West Tech, a military-funded laboratory workplace. West Tech was a mining thing, looking for fossil fuels, uranium, petroleum, plutonium, crude oil. Magma Labs was a biologically experimental lab. We have more experiments gone wrong, scientists turned into glowing ghouls, as well as a book explaining the forced evolutionary virus. Copyright 2020, we've created a serum called the FEV, or forced evolutionary virus. It causes rapid evolution in humans and will create super soldiers. They, of course, were trying to create super soldiers for the US Army, but here are the symptoms, you can read those. But failed experiments may lead to corpse-like states, where you're like a zombie, aka feral ghouls or glowing feral ghouls. Not canon in real Fallout, but if the FEV failed and you de-evolved, you would turn into a living, walking corpse zombie. And if you evolved too rapidly, where you would lose sentient brain function and just be put into psychotic rage, you would become a super mutant who is the exact results they wanted for having a super soldier, but would not follow orders and is just a mindless mutant that wants to kill, aka explaining the normal super mutants. But if you were put just right and you become like Frank Horrigan with sentient brain function, although a little bit lost, a little intelligence lost, you become a successful super soldier who still follows orders and recognizes your higher-ups. You're not a mindless mutant and you're not a mindless zombie feral ghoul. Pulling this lever here, you are in the armory with some full set, almost full set, minus the boots, of power armor. And this would usually be closed, but through this blast door, we lead into the real labs of Magma Labs, where all the things happened, the military-funded place. Here we have the chemical storage, as well as radioactive material storage. This is a terribly, highly radioactive room. And guess what's in here? Fully charged plutonium fission cores. 9 of them. So if you took 6 out of the 9 of these, or all 9 of them, and you also got the pulse charge from the silo, you could reprogram the Yangtze Chinese named nuclear 150 megaton bomb, and you could remotely activate it and blow up the whole area. So if the Enclave or Brotherhood gets the pulse charge and these, and they reprogram the bomb very carefully under Chinese intelligence gained, they will be able to control the fate of the wasteland by blowing up most of the area. We also have some generator boxes with beryllium agitators, which are powering the building all these years later, as well as plutonium fission core radioactive storage. Here's the laboratory where the serum was created, the forced evolutionary virus version 2020. The Enclave took some samples of their own to create Frank Horrigan, the first of one of their many super soldiers they will make. So maybe the Enclave are going to find this place exists, and they're going to raid it. Maybe they might take the virus and, who knows, the radioactive cores. And if they get the silo back and get the pulse charge and reprogram the bomb, the Enclave have the power, or the Brotherhood, to blow up the entire wasteland in terms of this lower part of this state. Siren Head has moved from where he has been standing here since he destroyed the Raider base, and he's moved back through behind the farm. And my character has also moved. Here he is, standing on the hill with a weapon, staring down Siren Head. Let me know if you guys have any ideas for me to build anything next. Other than that, I'll come up with my own ideas for new updates to Fallout 276. And thank you for watching. And thank you for 101 subscribers.